There's a question nobody asked last season. What happens when champions decide they need to be even better? Liverpool won the Premier League in 2024-25. They were brilliant. They dominated. And then, instead of celebrating, they looked at the problems nobody else could see. Teams sitting deep, struggles breaking down low blocks, too many late goals needed to win matches. So they did what champions sometimes do. They decided to fix things that weren't really broken. Liverpool spent approximately $450 million gross in the summer of 2025 Goal.com US, smashing transfer records and rebuilding their attack. Florian Wirtz cost $100 million plus an additional $16 million in add-ons Liverpool.com from Bayer Leverkusen, making him a British record signing. Then Alexander Isak arrived on deadline day for $125 million Liverpool.com from Newcastle, breaking that record immediately. Hugo Ekitike joined from Eintracht Frankfurt for an initial $69 million with a further $10 million in add-ons. On paper, Liverpool looked unstoppable. In reality, they're 8th in the table. But before we get to the crisis, we need to talk about July 3rd, 2025, because that's when everything changed and it had nothing to do with soccer. Diogo Jota, 28, and his brother Andre Silva died in a car crash in Spain. Wikipedia in the early hours of that Thursday morning. Mohamed Salah wrote on Instagram, "I truly have no words. Until yesterday, I never thought there would be something that would make me fear returning to Liverpool after the break."
And when you look at Mo Salah right now, very, very close to Jota, very close ahead, he doesn't look himself.
No, he doesn't.
He looks a shadow of himself. So I will be very careful and very calm the way we criticize this Liverpool team. You know, yes, they're not playing well right now, but let's not forget what happened in the summer.
Think about that for a second. A player saying he's frightened to return to his own club. Not because of pressure or expectations, but because walking into the training ground means accepting that his teammate and friend won't be there anymore. Liverpool postponed the start of preseason. Players attended the funeral in Portugal. Manager Arne Slot said at the time, "For us as a club, the sense of shock is absolute. Diogo was not just our player, he was a loved one to all of us." And then, weeks later, the season started anyway, because that's how soccer works. The schedule doesn't stop for grief. Liverpool began the season by losing the Community Shield on penalties to Crystal Palace, despite leading twice in the match. It was an omen nobody wanted to see. Now, halfway through the season, Liverpool sit in 4th spot, 12 points behind Arsenal in the standings. They're below newly promoted Sunderland. They're struggling to score. They're conceding goals that championship-winning teams don't concede. And the $450 million spent in the summer looks like money poured into a machine that's breaking down. Wirtz was supposed to solve everything. The 22-year-old German was one of the most exciting attacking midfielders in Europe at Bayer Leverkusen. Creative, intelligent, technically brilliant, Liverpool beat Bayern Munich and Manchester City to his signature. Fans were ecstatic. But despite scoring against Wolves, Fulham, and Barnsley in the FA Cup, Wirtz has struggled Liverpool.com to adapt to the Premier League's physicality. The player who looked unstoppable in Germany seems overwhelmed in England. When Liverpool needed him most, he's looked like a player still trying to figure out where he fits. Isak's story is even more frustrating. Wayne Rooney said, "I wouldn't play Isak. He hasn't looked ready since coming from Newcastle. He hasn't trained, hasn't had a pre-season. The $125 million man arrived late, missed crucial preparation time, got injured, and when he's played, he hasn't looked like the player who terrorized Premier League defenses for years at Newcastle. Meanwhile, Ekitike has been the bright spot. The French striker has already scored 11 goals in the 24 matches he played CBSSports.com and looks like Liverpool's best summer signing. But one player performing well doesn't fix a team that's fundamentally unbalanced. The problem runs deeper than individual performances. Liverpool spent the summer obsessed with one issue: how to beat teams that sit deep and defend. So they bought technical players who are comfortable receiving the ball to feet. Wirtz, Ekitike, Isak. Players who can unlock defenses with skill and creativity. But they forgot something important. The Premier League isn't just about technique anymore. It's becoming more physical, more direct, more focused on transitions. And Liverpool, in trying to become more technical, became softer exactly when the league was getting harder. Defensively, they're a mess. Liverpool have only 3 senior center backs: Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Joe Gomez. Konate has been shockingly out of form, making mistakes that championship-winning defenders don't make. The team struggles with set pieces, they concede from long balls, they get beaten in transition, and crucially, they don't have a proper defensive midfielder. Ryan Gravenberch is talented, but not a natural holding player. That leaves Liverpool soft through the middle, vulnerable every time opponents win the ball and attack quickly. The irony is brutal. Last season, Liverpool's identity was their press, their intensity, their ability to suffocate teams. This season, they get suffocated. Teams break through their press and suddenly have clear paths to goal. The energy that defined them is gone. Salah's struggles tell the story better than statistics ever could. At Liverpool's season opener against Bournemouth, tears streamed down Salah's face during the tribute to JotaLiverpool.com. The Egyptian wrapped up the scoring that day and mimicked Jota's celebration, but since then, he's looked like a shadow of himself. It's not physical decline. He's still moving the same way, but his touch is off, his shooting is off. Everything he touched last year turned into goals. This year, nothing seems to work. Slot acknowledged, "It is impossible to measure what it does to the players and to our results. The last thing I would do is use it as an excuse." But how can you not wonder? When you lose a teammate suddenly, when you're processing grief while trying to perform at the highest level, how does that not affect you? The mood around Liverpool is strange. There's frustration, obviously. Fans expected instant success after spending $450 million. But there's also something heavier, a sense that this team is caught between eras, the end of one identity and the uncertain beginning of another. One Liverpool publication wrote that the 2025 summer transfer window was an overcorrection and stole the club's soul, turning them into the kind of club they used to mock, spending huge money without clear planning, buying names instead of building a system, and the timing makes it worse. Last season, Liverpool were perfect. Slot won the league in his first year. Everything clicked. Now, with his own signings, with his own vision fully implemented, the team looks worse than it did before. Slot admitted, "Every single game we play, it is hard work. It is two teams close to each other. We are mainly the team that is better, but not enough." That's a damning self-assessment. Better but not enough. Close but not winning. The Champions League has been Liverpool's escape. They've looked good in Europe, putting 5 past Frankfurt, dominating both Madrid teams at home. Maybe this becomes one of those seasons where a team struggles domestically but thrives in knockout competitions. It's happened before, but that's cold comfort when you're defending champions sitting 8th in January. The question Liverpool face now isn't about tactics or formations, it's about identity. Who are they supposed to be? The pressing machine that won them the league last year? Or the technical team they tried to become this summer? Can you be both? Or does trying to be both leave you as neither? And underneath all of it, there's grief. Not the kind you process and move on from in a few weeks. The kind that sits with you through an entire season. The kind that makes walking into training different. The kind that changes how a team feels even when nobody talks about it. Liverpool will probably recover. They're too talented not to. The season is long. Teams have bad runs. 8th place in January doesn't determine where you finish in May. But maybe that's not really the question. Maybe the real question is simpler and harder at the same time. When you win everything and then lose something that matters more than trophies, how do you remember what you're playing for?